crashed and broken. The sky was quiet before the ship came. It broke through the clouds like a falling star, burning and shaking the air. The crash was loud. The ground trembled. A black trail of smoke rose from the rocky field outside the human colony. People stopped what they were doing. Some ran outside. Others locked their doors. Jace stood near his workshop, looking at the smoke. He didn't say anything. He just wiped his hands, grabbed a tool bag, and started walking. He wasn't a soldier. Not anymore. He was a mechanic. He fixed things. Old ships, farming machines, broken colony bots. He didn't like noise. He didn't like people. But something about that crash made his heart beat faster. When he reached the crash site, the alien ship was a wreck. Pieces were everywhere. The metal was burned. Wires sparked and twisted. The ground around it was black and hot. The ship had no weapons, no signs of battle. It was small, like a scout ship. Then he saw her. She was lying next to the wreck, almost buried in the dirt. Her skin was smooth and silver, shining under the sunlight. She had long hair that looked like soft threads of light. Her arms were gone, her legs too. Only wires and broken ports were left. Blue liquid leaked from her wounds. Her eyes were open. One of them blinked. Slowly, Jace knelt beside her. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. But she looked at him as if she knew he was her only hope. Others arrived. Colony guards, medics, a few scared farmers. They kept their distance. "She's alien," one said. "Leave her." "She's dying," Jace replied. "We can't help her," another man said. "She's not our problem." "She's still alive," Jace said. "That makes her my problem." They didn't argue. No one wanted to touch her. Some feared disease. Others feared war. They turned away, leaving her behind. Jace picked her up. She was light, like holding bones and wires. Her body was cold. Her head rested weakly against his shoulder. She didn't move, but her eyes stayed open. He walked back to his garage with her in his arms. No one followed. The garage was full of old machines and broken parts. He laid her on a clean table and turned on a small light. Tools hung from the walls. A repair drone hovered in the corner. He grabbed a scanner and checked her vitals. Weak, but still beating. Not human, but close. He cleaned the wounds and sealed the bleeding ports. He connected her to a low battery. A light on her chest blinked once, then again. She was stable. Jace didn't know what he was doing. He had never seen her kind before. But something inside him said not to stop. He opened an old chest. Inside were robotic limbs, pieces from the war, human tech, heavy, rusted, still usable. He looked at her ports. He could try to fit them. He began working. He stayed up all night, cutting, welding, reshaping metal arms to match her body. He wasn't sure it would work, but he had to try. The next morning, her eye opened again. She looked at the ceiling, then at him. "Why, help. Me?" Her voice was weak, robotic. Jace was holding a metal leg in his hand. He paused. "Because you needed help," he said. She didn't speak again, but her face softened. Her eye blinked slowly. She wasn't afraid. He showed her the arm. "It's not perfect, but it might work." She looked at it, then at him. She moved her head slowly. He took that as a yes. He started attaching the first arm. It clicked into place. Her body shivered, then stopped. The light in her chest grew stronger. "You're tough," Jace said. "That's good." He kept working. Hour after hour, replacing wires, testing circuits. She stayed silent, watching him. When the second arm was ready, she tried to speak again. "Zira," she said. He looked at her. "That your name?" She nodded slowly. "Zira. I'm Jace." She gave a small smile. It lasted only a second, but it was real. Outside, the world was still unsure. But inside that old garage, a broken girl and a tired man had started something new. She wasn't fixed yet, far from it. But she wasn't alone anymore. Fixing what's left. Zyra's body was still weak, but her eyes no longer held fear. She watched everything Jace did. Every tool he picked up, every wire he touched, she followed with quiet focus. She had once been fast, strong, and trained, but now she was helpless. Jace knew that feeling well. He had felt it after the war, when he lost his team, when he lost his purpose. Now somehow, helping her gave him something back. Jace opened one of his old tool cabinets and pulled out a thick arm frame, heavy, used, and covered in dust. It had once belonged to a battle drone, not elegant but powerful. He cleaned it, polished it, and started reshaping it. It had to match Zyra's strange ports. He had never worked with alien tech before, but her body accepted some human components. That surprised him. It was like her systems were ready for change. Zyra winced once as he tested a nerve connection. "Sorry," he said. "These pieces aren't made for comfort." She didn't complain. Instead, she tried to move her new, metal fingers. The motion was slow, unsteady, but they moved. Her eyes lit up, just a little. For the next 2 days, Jace worked nonstop. He slept in short naps, often on the cold floor next to the bench. He forgot to eat. He barely drank. All he cared about was making the limbs work. Not just work, but respond to her like they were part of her. Zyra tried to help. She tapped buttons on a small control pad. She uploaded strange code into the translator chip. Soon she was speaking more clearly. Not perfect English, but enough to understand. "You fix good," she said on the 3rd night. Jace laughed softly. "Thanks. You're a good patient. Most bots scream more than you do." "Not bot," she said. "Living, cyber-organic." "I noticed." She sat up for the first time since the crash. The arms clicked and adjusted, supporting her weight. Jace helped steady her. She looked at her legs. One was nearly finished, the other still just wires. Jace followed her gaze. "I'll finish it tonight." She reached out, her new hand, touching his shoulder. It was a light touch, but it froze him in place. "No more help?" she asked. He turned to her. "What do you mean?" "If I live, danger comes." He frowned. "Someone's after you?" She looked down. "Yes. My mission failed. I ran." "Ran from what?" She didn't answer, but her body went stiff. Jace understood. He didn't need full details. He had seen that look before, in soldiers, in refugees, in his own reflection. "They'll come looking for you," he said. "Yes. Then we better be ready." She blinked. "You help more?" He nodded slowly. "We're not done yet." That night he worked faster. Stronger metal. More sensors. He added power support to the legs. He gave her armor plates and built-in stabilizers. Every piece of her new body was human-made, but carefully shaped to fit her. Zyra watched, silent and calm. At sunrise, he gave her a walking frame. She tried to stand. Her legs shook, bent the wrong way, and locked up. She fell, and Jace caught her. "I'm not done," she said. "You don't give up easy," he said. "No." She tried again. This time she stood, slowly, unsteady, but tall. Her body wasn't what it used to be, but it was hers again. Jace stepped back and looked at her, covered in metal and scars, standing in his dusty garage like a ghost rebuilt from scratch. "You're alive," he said. Zyra looked down at her new limbs. "Alive, thanks to you." But outside the garage, in the far sky above the colony, something dark had already begun to move. A ship. A silent signal. A trace left behind from the crash. Someone knew she had survived. And they were coming. Her first steps. The floor groaned beneath Zyra's new feet. Her balance was off. Her legs were heavy. Every step felt like dragging a mountain behind her. But she moved. Slowly. Carefully. And for the first time since the crash, She didn't feel like a ghost trapped inside a broken shell. Jace stood nearby, arms crossed, watching like a worried father. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. His eyes followed every movement, waiting to jump in just in case. Zira reached the far side of the garage and turned around. "I walk," she said simply. "You stomp like a war mech," Jace muttered, but there was a smile in his voice. "But yeah, you walk." She looked down at the metal limbs. "Too strong. They were built for combat bots," he said. "Didn't have anything lighter. You'll adjust." Zira didn't answer. Her eyes were on the old mirror leaning against the wall. She walked toward it slowly and stared at her reflection. The girl in the mirror wasn't the same one who had crashed. Her silver skin was scratched. Her body was now more machine than flesh. Her arms and legs were heavy and human-made. Her face still held a soft glow, but her eyes were harder, different. Zira lifted her hand and touched the glass. "This, not me," she whispered. Jace walked up beside her. "It's the only version that's alive." She turned to him. "Why help me this much?" He paused, thinking. "Because I know what it's like to be thrown away." They didn't speak after that. Not for a while. But Zira started walking every day, inside the garage at first, then outside. Each day, her steps grew stronger. Her arms could lift more. She practiced movement, speed, balance, and her memories returned. They came in flashes, faces, voices, commands, the sound of her ship breaking apart, and the reason she had been flying alone. One night, she sat with Jace beside the garage fire pit. She stared at the stars. "They tried to kill me," she said. Jace didn't react. "Who?" "My own ship, my own people. Why?" She looked at him. "I refused to do what they asked. I said no to the mission. I was meant to send a weapon signal to Earth, a test." His eyes narrowed. "So it was an attack?" "No. A trick. They wanted Earth to strike back first so they could start war. I was the bait." "And you didn't follow the order?" "No, so they sent a signal, shut down my ship, left me to die." Jay stared into the fire. He had seen this before. Not with aliens, but with humans. Soldiers sent into hopeless fights, men left behind when the mission changed. Disposable lives. "Why Earth?" he asked. "Because humans scare them," Zira said. "You're too wild, too free. You don't follow the rules." Jace gave a dry laugh. "That sounds about right." "I told them Earth was not the enemy," she continued. "They said I was broken." He looked at her new limbs. "You're not broken anymore." Suddenly, a beep came from the back of the garage. Jace stood and rushed inside. Zira followed. One of his warning systems was blinking red. It had picked up a scan, stealth signal high above the colony. Zira's face went cold. "They found me." Jace checked the readings. A ship. Silent. Not human. Just circling. Not landing yet. He looked at Zira. "We don't have much time." She nodded. "Then we must finish the work." From that moment, their roles changed. Jace wasn't just her fixer. Zira wasn't just his patient. She became his partner, and the war neither of them wanted was coming. The Empire's message. Zira stood at the edge of the colony wall, her new limbs hidden beneath a worn cloak. The early morning wind pressed against her, but she didn't shiver. She couldn't anymore. Not with metal where skin used to be. Her eyes stared into the sky, unblinking, searching. She knew something was up there, watching. Jace was inside the garage, adjusting an old satellite scanner. The signal had returned 3 times now, always brief, always silent. But definitely not random. Someone was looking for her, not broadcasting, they were listening. That morning, Jace found her sitting alone beside the radio unit, her fingers running over the panel like a memory was trying to surface. "They're not sending messages anymore," she said. "They're waiting for a reply." He sat beside her. "What happens if they get one?" "They send a hunter." Jace frowned. That signal you found last night, it was yours, wasn't it? Zyra nodded. Built into my chest core. I didn't know it was active. It's a royal tag. They use it to track missing officers. Your royalty? I was, before I said no. Jace leaned back. So they're not just looking for you. They're expecting to punish you. They think I'm a traitor, she whispered. And if they think you helped me, they'll kill me too. She looked at him. Yes. For a moment, silence hung between them. Then Jace stood. Then we stopped waiting. That afternoon, Zyra helped him pull out something buried deep under the garage, an old war drone frame, half functional but powerful. Jace had hidden it after the last border conflict, illegal but useful. He stripped it down and began turning its parts into armor for Zyra. The plan was clear now. No more hiding. If they came, they would be ready. As night fell, a new sound cracked through the sky, a deep hum like a giant whisper. Zyra's body went still. That's not a scan, she said. That's a message. They ran to the console. The screen flickered, showing alien symbols, Zyra's native tongue. Jace watched as the translator worked slowly. Surrender. Royal property must return. Those who shield her will be erased. Zyra's eyes didn't blink. Her voice was low and sharp. They're not asking, they're warning. Jace narrowed his eyes. Well, here's our warning. This garage is armed, and we're not afraid. She looked at him, then at the screen. They will come anyway. He turned to her. Then they'll meet Earth's finest mechanic, and one very stubborn alien. For the first time in days, she laughed, short, quiet, and full of something Jace hadn't heard before. Defiance. She stood, walking tall in her upgraded limbs, and pulled off the cloak. No more hiding, she said. From that moment on, the garage was no longer a workshop. It became a bunker, a shield, and a place where two worlds would soon clash. But what the Empire didn't know was this. They hadn't left behind a broken soldier. They had made her stronger. And this time, she wouldn't run. Attack in the shadows. The night was too quiet. Not peaceful, unnatural. Even the insects in the nearby grass had gone silent. Zyra stood outside the garage, scanning the sky with her enhanced vision. Jace had warned her not to go far, but something had drawn her out. A strange pull in her core, like a warning only she could feel. Then she saw it. Just a flicker, a shimmer in the dark. Cloaking tech. Too advanced for humans. Too specific for scouts. They had arrived. Before she could shout, something struck her from behind. A pulse shot meant to stun. Her systems flared. Pain sparked through her spine as she hit the ground. Her legs twitched, struggling to reset. 3 dark figures emerged from the shadows, tall and silent, their armor marked with symbols she knew too well. They were not just soldiers. They were enforcers. Elite executioners of her empire. One moved toward her, raising a blade that hummed with energy. But before it could strike, a blast lit up the night. Jace. From the top of the garage, he fired a modified plasma torch, hitting one enforcer square in the chest. The alien flew backward, armor cracking from the impact. Don't touch her, Jace shouted, jumping down with a homemade shock rifle in hand. Zyra rolled, grabbed a rock, and slammed it into the leg of the nearest attacker. The moment of distraction was enough. She activated her boot thrusters and launched backward, landing roughly behind a broken pipe wall. Jace fired again. The second attacker dodged and disappeared into the shadows. Zyra stood beside him now, breathing hard, her body glitching from the stun pulse. They're enforcers, she said. They're here to end me. Then we end them first, Jace replied, locking in a new energy cell. But the third figure hadn't moved. It stood, just inside the shadows, watching. Then it spoke. Zyra of House Vectal, you were warned. Zyra's eyes widened. That voice, she knew it. Not from battle, but from childhood. Rillen? She whispered. You were my mentor. The figure stepped forward. Its helmet hissed and lifted. The face beneath was older, scarred, and cold. I trained you to follow orders, Rillin said. You were chosen, you were loyal. I followed truth, not fear, she said. You chose silence. There's no room for truth in war, he growled. Only victory. Jace raised his weapon. She's not going with you. Rillin didn't even flinch. You're just a mechanic. I build things, Jace said. And I break things. Without another word, Rillin signaled. A grenade rolled forward, hissing blue gas. Zyra grabbed Jace and leapt behind the workbench just as it exploded. The garage shook. The lights flickered. When they came out, the attackers were gone. Only one thing remained, burned into the garage wall with a plasma blade. Next time, no warnings. Jace stared at it for a long moment. They know where we are. They know who we are. Zyra clenched her new metal fist. Then it's time they learn what we're capable of. The message was clear now. The Empire had sent hunters. But next, they'd send something worse, and Earth's last mechanic and his alien friend would be waiting. The garage smelled of smoke and scorched metal. Tools lay scattered across the floor. Jace's hands were covered in grease and blood, not his but Zyra's. He had been patching her again. Her shoulder joint had taken a deep crack during the ambush. The metal was strong, but not made for fighting enforcers. She didn't speak while he worked. She just stared ahead, eyes locked on nothing. But something had changed in her. Not fear, not pain. Guilt. When Jace finished the repair, she stood and walked to the far end of the garage. She looked at the star map projected on the wall, the one Jace had marked with the signal trails and scan paths. Then she said it. Finally. I wasn't just a scout. Jace looked up from the table. I figured that out when a war squad tried to erase you. She turned. I was the one who was supposed to start the war. The words hit harder than any pulse blast. Jace didn't move. My mission was to land here, she said. To send a false signal. To make it look like Earth was preparing to strike first. My Empire would then respond. Full-scale attack. Total domination. And you agreed to this? He asked quietly. I was raised to obey, she said. Told Earth was dangerous, wild, unpredictable. She paused. But I watched your signals, your messages, your history. I saw the truth. You are not perfect, but you are not the monsters they said. So you turned on your own? I disabled the signal. I tried to warn them. They called me defective. They shut down my ship remotely. Let it fall. Jace exhaled slowly. That's why you crashed, she nodded. I was their tool, but I broke. He didn't speak for a while, just watched her as she stood there. Part alien, part machine, entirely torn between worlds. Then he asked, why tell me now? Because it's time, she said. Time to stop running. Time to finish what I started, but this time with truth. Jace walked to the storage locker, unlocked a sealed unit, and pulled out a dusty metal case. You're going to need better weapons, he said. She raised an eyebrow. I thought you were just a mechanic, she teased. He smirked. I was a weapons engineer, retired, until you crashed into my quiet life. He opened the case. Inside were parts, sleek, dangerous, and illegal. Plasma cores, kinetic boosters, magnetic shields. Old tech, but deadly when used right. I was saving these for something big, he said. Zyra picked up a plasma conduit and clicked it into her arm socket. It hummed with energy. This is big, she said. For the next 2 days, they worked in silence. Jace upgraded her limbs with built-in weapons. Pulse cannons in the arms, stabilizers in the legs, a shield generator across her spine. Each piece made her less like the officer she had been, and more like the symbol she was becoming. Not a soldier, a warning. On the third night, Zyra stepped outside, stood under the stars, and activated her old Empire beacon. But she didn't send a cry for help. She sent a message. This is Zyra of House Vectal. I survived. I chose peace. And I stand with Earth. If you come again, come knowing this world is no longer unprotected. She turned to Jace. They'll come faster now. Let them, he said. We'll show them what happens when they underestimate the people they tried to break. And as the stars above shifted, a battle line was being drawn. Mechanic and warrior, the sky above Earth cracked open with fire. A massive ship descended through the clouds, black, silent, shaped like a dagger pointed at the heart of the colony. It wasn't a scout or a stealth craft this time. It was a warship. A clear message from Zyra's empire. Surrender or be destroyed. Inside the garage, Zyra stood in silence. Her body was no longer broken. Her limbs hummed with power, each piece fused with Earth's metal and human defiance. She had once been a tool of war, but now she was its challenger. Jace slid a power cell into her backplate. That's the last upgrade, fully charged, no turning back now. Zyra looked at him. You sure about this? You could run. He gave a dry smile. I don't run, never did. And besides, I built half of you. If they want to destroy you, they'll have to go through me first. The two stepped out of the garage into the morning light. The warship hovered over the colony, casting a long, dark shadow over the land. Panic had already started to spread, colonists fleeing, alarms blaring. But in the middle of it all stood two figures, one alien, one human. Zyra activated her communicator. To the Empire, I am not your tool. I am not your traitor. I am your truth. You fear Earth because you cannot control it, but you should fear me more. The ship responded, not with words, but weapons. Energy blasts rained down like thunder. Zyra leapt into the air, her boots igniting, dodging the blasts with precision. Jace ran below, triggering hidden turrets and pulse traps he had buried around the field. The ground shook. The sky burned, but they didn't fall. Zyra reached the warship, tore through the outer hull with her upgraded arms and forced her way inside. Enemy soldiers met her in the corridor. She didn't hesitate. Her arms lit up with plasma. Her legs powered her forward like a rocket. She wasn't just fighting for survival now. She was fighting for freedom, for Earth, for herself, and for the man who had given her a second chance. Back on the ground, Jace held off drones with precision, shots reloading faster than most machines could track. He had once built weapons for soldiers. Now he was one. Minutes felt like hours, then silence. A final explosion shook the sky. Then, the warship began to fall. It crashed far beyond the horizon, no longer a threat, just twisted metal scattered across the earth. Zyra landed beside Jace, armor scorched, eyes bright. You're alive, he said, coughing through the smoke. I told you, she said. I'm not easy to kill. He smiled. Neither am I. The Empire received her message loud and clear. No more hunters came. No more ships hovered over Earth. The signal they had sent was returned with fire, with courage, and with something they never expected, a mechanic and a warrior. Together, in a small garage at the edge of a forgotten colony, a new legend was born of a broken girl rebuilt by human hands, and the quiet man who dared to care when everyone else turned away.